My name is Parastu Imami, and I'm the host of the Road to Success for Your Highly Sensitive Child. This podcast is about empowering parents of highly sensitive children to nurture their child's unique personality trait and create a path to success. Our podcast provides guidance, insights, and support to help you unlock your child's full potential, fostering resilience, confidence, and a bright future. If you're new to my podcast, please go back and listen to episodes 1 and 2 because they provide information on high sensitivity that all subsequent episodes will build upon. If you skip these episodes, you won't get as much out of this and all subsequent episodes. To book a private coaching session with me, please visit my website at parentinghsc.com. If you're looking for a talented portrait photographer, I highly recommend Laurie Bishop of Become Studios. Check her website out at www.becomebeseen.com. You can find the link in my podcast description as well. For a limited time, if you use the promo code PARISTO100, you will get a $100 credit towards photo purchases. Today, I have the pleasure of having Roberta Bell as my guest. Roberta is going to walk us through her life journey as a highly sensitive person. Roberta, I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being courageous and vulnerable with us and sharing your story. And thank you for helping me bring awareness and acceptance to high sensitivity and helping me with this mission that I have in my life. Thank you so much. Welcome, Roberta.
Well, thank you for having me, Paris, too. I'm excited to be here, and I look forward to speaking with you, having the conversation about high sensitivity, and it's one that needs to be heard. You know, parents or sometimes people are not aware of how some people are highly sensitive.
Absolutely. That's why I have this mission that to bring awareness because it's so important because 20% of the global population, they are highly sensitive. So one way or another, we all will know a highly sensitive person. So we all will have at least one highly sensitive person in our lives. So it's good to know, what they're all about and how they're different from us so that you can have a better relationship with them.
Yes.
So let's start by maybe telling us a little bit about yourself. And then we can start with having a discussion about your journey as a highly sensitive person.
Okay. Well, I'm Roberta, and online or all social media, I'm Roberta the Tool Lady. I also am a podcaster, Taboo Chronicles. I have a podcast that I host individually, which is Put It All on Red. Um, now, Roberta Bell or Miss Bell, I have been in early childhood, also in child development, and also I hold 2 degrees, which is family studies and gerontology, which is a study from birth to death, and then also hold a master's in human resources, which is how to manage individuals in a functioning or a successful environment. Saying that, I have a lot of education in environments and people and the study of people, and from childhood on up to adulthood and on up to death. Um, Now, I have been a therapist, and I am licensed here in Texas as a substance abuse therapist, and that's presently.
Wow,
And
you
so,
have such an impressive background. I love
yeah.
it.
And as we talk about my journey as a sensitive person, you'll kind of get the picture of how I always ended back up in the social service field.
Mm-hmm.
because management, I enjoy management. But because of being an empath, it's very difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult, and I'm pretty successful when I do those things
Mm-hmm.
that are competitive. But because of being an empath, it makes it really difficult.
Yeah. And it's so nice that you discovered that about yourself and that you honor it, that you don't try to fit yourself in a place that you don't belong, or that you don't not belong, like in the sense of that you can't do it. Of course you can do it. You're an extremely smart woman, but in a sense where this is not your calling. A lot of people, including myself, for many, many years, I did a job where I was successful at it. I loved it, but it wasn't my calling, and I didn't really fit there. But I know I didn't fit, but and I didn't belong, but I didn't really know what to do with that information, until recently. So good job. Good for you that you know yourself well enough to know where you want to be, where you want to have that sense of belonging, and where you would have the most impact for yourself and the people that you work with.
Yes, yes, and I think it's important to be able to show up as it's being authentic, and
Yeah,
also being able to show up emotionally,
absolutely.
because there's a deep connect with an empath and their emotional abilities.
Yes, yes.
So, it makes it difficult if you don't, because you end up going up and down. I'm reminded, speaking with you tonight, I was a car saleswoman,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my general manager, because I would sell whole packages, sometimes like $80,000 cars, 120,000.
Mm-hmm.
And he would ask me, and I remember this lady, she bought a car, but her husband said, "Hey, I'm going to leave you if you don't take that car back."
Wow.
So she cried and cried and cried. And with her crying, I began to also cry too, as she began to tell me her story.
Mm.
And so then, so of course, I had to stand up to the management. And he goes, "That's none of our business. She bought the car, she signed the papers, that's it. Tell
Yeah.
her to get off her property." And I just could not stand for that. That was very painful for me.
Mm-hmm.
So just learning those things, that, there's some uncomfortable places that I can't really handle those emotions.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's so nice that though that one of the things that I love, that I call superpower, with being a highly sensitive person, is the fact that we do have empathy, and our empathy is at a very, very high level.
Yeah.
So, and I love that, because how kind of you that you stood up for this lady that you didn't even know, where you're going to lose your commission. And, most people wouldn't have done that. Most people wouldn't have stood up for the person that they don't know, that's going to negatively impact their career and their salary. So, um, I think that's amazing. And I wholeheartedly believe that's the superpower of being a highly sensitive one of the superpowers of being a highly sensitive person.
Yes.
So now let's talk about your childhood. Tell us about, how was your childhood? Did your parents know about high sensitivity and how to parent a highly sensitive child?
Well, as a child, I was sick most of the time.
Mm.
And then sometimes when I wasn't sick, because I liked the benefits of being sick, I would sometimes be sick unintentionally, right? Uh,
I love
so,
that.
because I mean, it had some benefits to it. And I'm saying that to say, and I tell people this all the time. People, and I want parents to think about this, because sometimes parents, as parents, we get stuck on the beginning of the journey,
Mm-hmm.
and we feel as though, like, oh, it has to be like this because we know the outcome of the journey, but that's not necessarily correct.
Yeah.
And not saying don't start the journey, but don't be so critical of the journey
Yeah.
and so critical of your child. And I'm just saying that because me, like I said, I was sick, so that took me out of the school population,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually took me out of the school population probably all the way into third grade
Mm-hmm.
for a good amount of time. So I probably missed, say, there's 8 months of school possibly in a year. I probably missed like 4 months out of the year,
Oh, wow. Okay.
on up until I was in the third or fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of catered to me being an child, an empath. So because what it allowed me to do is stay in an environment that was protected with my caregiver. Right. So I didn't really have a lot of, because the stimulation of going to school, it was overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
And not only did I already have a physical situation, but also, I had an emotional situation when it would be too much stimulation in the environment,
Mm-hmm.
and so which would often make me really shut down.
Yeah.
I didn't talk, again, probably till third, fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
I was very quiet and very silent most of the time. Um, And again, like I said, just for parents, don't look at the outcome. Don't look at the beginning and be so critical of that beginning. I would say be mindful with that beginning, be attentive of that beginning with your child, be patient. Um, because what happened is that it was, course, my childhood was sort of catered to me, and then the older I got, the more I was more exposed to school, which I would be shut down a lot of times. I wouldn't talk. They thought I couldn't speak, but I could. I
Mm-hmm.
just preferred not to.
Mm-hmm.
And I always preferred to stay on the outer sides of classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So I was never the one that wanted to sit in the middle of the room or in the front of the room. I would always have to be around the room. So it would have to be on the ends of the room,
Yeah.
because it just makes me uncomfortable
Yeah.
to
I
sit in the middle.
Yeah, that happens a lot for highly sensitive children, actually. Everything that you just mentioned, as far as not wanting to speak, wanting to sit somewhere where they're more protected so that they don't get as much stimulation,
Mhm.
external stimulation. That could be sound, that could be loud, loud sounds, or it could be bright lights. It could be a lot of different things that will be, that are an external stimuli and where we want to protect ourselves from it. But what an amazing and smart woman you or child you were at that time, that you would know already that, oh, okay, I'm going to take care of myself because I get less stimulated if I sit at the outer part of the classroom. That's amazing. And the other thing that I wanted to comment on is you said something very profound, and that is for parents not to be too critical or judgmental in the beginning years of your child, because they still have many, many years ahead of them for learning and all that. And so I wholeheartedly believe in that, and good job for, saying, advising that to parents right now. And that's the reason that I work with parents of highly sensitive children who are in their formative years, because their formative years are so critical in our development. right? And that's when, as a parent, you have the most power to have a huge positive impact or a negative impact on your child's life. So, for instance, the fact that your parents didn't push you to do something that you couldn't do, like for example, you went to school only half of the time in the year, they could have easily. I mean, I know that you're ill, but still, they could have easily have pushed you to maybe just do home studies or go, whatever it was. They could have pushed you, but they didn't, which is really amazing because you, as a result of that, developed a very solid foundation, a foundation that includes having, a good confidence level so that, if you're not comfortable with something, you don't force yourself to fit in and do it, right? If you didn't want to be in the center of the room, you didn't do that. You sat in the parameter where you were comfortable. Or if you didn't want to speak up too much, you didn't. And you didn't, and you were able to have that level of confidence and be able to be yourself and honor what your body needed because of the fact that you were in an environment where they didn't force you to change, you know.
Yes.
And that's so crucial for a highly sensitive person because if you make your child change because you think high sensitivity is not good, maybe you see it as a weakness, for example, which a lot of people do until they talk to me and they realize, oh, wow, it's not a weakness, it's a superpower.
Yes.
Um, but if you force your child to change, even if you think you're doing the right thing, it actually hinders their development and causes them to have potentially a lot of different traumas that then need to get rid of as an adult, like I did.
Yes.
So I'm proud of your caregivers that they were um, that they recognized what you needed, and they catered their parenting style to what you specifically needed. Because in your case, it wasn't just being highly sensitive, but on top of it, you had a physical illness.
Yes.
So, so good for them and good for you for having those caregivers. That's
Yeah.
amazing. It's a very rare story that I hear, by the way, Roberta.
Yes. And I'm very thankful for them. Very thankful.
Yeah.
Um, as I said, you know, um, a lot of my classmates used to see me as mysterious because
Hmm.
I would come and disappear, and
Hmm.
I would never really intermingle. Like I said, I would have to stay on the parameters even outside during playtime.
Hmm.
I didn't find just groups are not my thing. Even today, there's some like I would love to see a football game,
Hmm.
but just the thought of getting in that crowd is overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
So and so it's not that I don't have the thoughts of doing it, it's just that the overwhelmingness, the picking up of the energy in it. So as a child, those were some of the things that I can remember, that I would do, and would make me would make me really different than the other children.
Yeah.
But and so they all thought that, okay, she's very different, she's very peculiar, um, and a little strange, and they just could remember Roberta with the glasses on and the backpack, and that's it. And always being so, reserved and quiet.
Hmm.
Again, because even if I did go to school, I wouldn't speak,
Hmm.
and so they would have to engage with me. Um, so that was a little bit of my childhood. Um, Now, some of the other things is that I'm still really caring. Some of my family always says, you're one of the ones that really care a lot about everybody.
Yeah.
And so, and they find that interesting because, of course, they're not empaths, so they don't know anything about that part.
Yeah.
But they find that really, like, really, you care about like all of the cousins, and
Yeah.
you'll keep up with all of them, and you really care if something happens to them, and it really, you really will go in emotionally, or however you can support them. And so they always say that, like, you really are, you really give us unintentional, like, you are unintentional. How I had one they did a post for me, and she named it as, she said, I unintentionally, um, don't see anything biased about them. I don't even think about it. I don't.
You see the
And
best in people. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's how I am. We see the light in people.
yeah.
We don't see the darkness. And when we do see the darkness, we decide not to look at it. We decide
Mhm.
to go for the light in
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
And, going to your compassion, because you're a highly sensitive person, because you have a high level of empathy, and, you feel very strongly, you tend to have a lot of compassion.
Yes,
So the compassion is what makes us very unique as well, because we're able to really listen to people and hear them out and be very attentive, and we want to know what's going on. We're very like nurturing and wanting to be there for that person and help them through whatever it is that they're going through, whether it's a happy event or a sad event, doesn't matter. We're there for them the same way, you
yeah,
know and we don't push people away when they're sad, even if you don't know them. Like, for example, I tend to go on vacations a lot by myself, and every single vacation, I'm never alone. People find me, people gravitate towards me, and they love to tell me about whatever it is that they're going through in their life. And they don't even know me, they don't know me, but they open up to me and they tell me everything that's going on and they seek my advice. And this is before I changed my career. This has happened to me all my life,
yeah,
and I always wondered, like, what is it about me where I attract people that I don't know, and they come up to me, they sit next to me at my table, and then they start telling me their life story or whatever, trauma that they're experiencing. And what was really fascinating to me is that they walked away and they would tell me, "Oh my God, you're like an angel. You just healed me. And, you should become a healer." I got that so often from people, that I'm a healer and that I help them. And just by me sitting next to them and listening to them, they were able to, like, feel so much better about the situation that they were in.
yes, yes,
Isn't that amazing? I find that to be so incredible.
yes. It is. It's very amazing. And I've also shared those experiences as well.
Hmm.
Sometimes people say, "You know them?" I'm like, "No, I don't know them." I remember walking into a grocery store and this lady saying, hold my dog for me, my puppy for me."
Hmm.
And my friend, like, "Do you know her?" I was like, "No, I never met her before in my life." She's like, "Why would she hand you her puppy?" I said, "I don't know." And so, of course, I held the puppy until she came and got it. But
Yeah.
those things do happen. I've been on the beach before on vacation, and another lady comes and runs up to me, but she waves at me from afar, like kind of cornered on the other side of the street.
Hmm.
And she just starts running to me. And
Hmm.
I'm there with my group of people that I went on vacation with my family and a couple of friends. And she just comes to me, she hugs me, and she stands right on my side.
Wow.
Like like we've been together like all our lives. And
Oh my
so,
God.
it was my mom and my friend, and they were like, "Do you know her?" I was like, No.
Wow.
So I was asking her, like, where are you coming from? What's your name?
Oh my God.
And so my mom said, well, she was looking at you from over there
Yeah.
and waving as if she knew you. I said, I know. I was thinking she knew me too, but I
Yeah.
never met her before. And so she hung out with us until her flight left.
Oh my
So
God. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, it's so amazing. They pick up on our energy, I guess.
yes, that's
That's
what she
so
said.
cool.
She said, you look like so much fun. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's
All
amazing.
right.
That's so funny.
Yes. So yeah, that is some of the perks of it. And then some of the lows of it is that you do feel low when everybody else feels low.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's really difficult.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So so I think we talked about this when I came and was a guest on your podcast is, I was that way too. Like, for example, I would go to work and somebody was not feeling well or they were down, they were sad, and all of a sudden I would feel their sadness, I would become sad with them.
Mhm.
And then I would go to them too. I not only did I feel their energy and I felt their sadness, but I would go to them and ask them, what can I do to help them? And I would say to them, I feel like you feel sad today, is that right? And they would be like, yeah, how did you know? And, you know, at that time, I didn't know how I knew. Now I
Mhm.
know how I know, but before I didn't know about high sensitivity. So I would tell them, oh, I didn't know. I was just drawn to you. And I just want to make
Mhm.
sure that, is there anything I could do to help? And then they would open up and talk about what's going on with them. And most of the time, I could help them with it, giving them advice or giving them suggestions.
Mhm.
But then the other thing about for us is to be able to protect our energy is so important, especially as we grow older, because it impacts us even more. As we learn about our sensitivity, it's more and more time that when more and more time goes by, um, we understand ourselves even more, and with understanding comes awareness, right? So then maybe before you just didn't know, you didn't understand it, so you didn't know, so you could kind of like not ignore it, but you could maybe bypass it. But now you know about it and you understand it, then those feelings actually get stronger. So the way I protect my energy is I just every morning I close my eyes and I imagine that there's a bubble around me, around my body, and I asked God to protect me and not allow another person's energy to enter in past this bubble that I've created for myself. So that has helped since I've learned to do that, and it took some effort and time. It's not like I woke up one day and I knew how to do this. But once I learned how to do it, it's really amazing. And if there's a day that I somehow forget to do it, oh my God, I really feel the impact of it on
Mhm.
me. So I've become very, very good about incorporating that into my morning routine so that I don't forget about it. But it's very, very helpful. Is
Yeah.
there something similar to that you've learned to do for yourself?
Um, well, I'm very spiritual, and I do affirmations, and I do them all day.
Oh,
So
wow.
I start off in the morning, and then I continue with it throughout the day.
Wow, that's amazing. I never knew that. I've never heard of someone using affirmation throughout the day. That's really amazing. How did you decide to do it throughout the day? What impact does it have for you?
Well, because when I'm interacting with other people,
Mhm.
again, my energy can be distraught by their energy
Yeah,
and or easily triggered and
yeah.
offset. So that I don't get offset, I often remind myself, you're in control.
Mm,
You have choices,
yeah.
and you are capable. You're worthy. And I tell myself that, and so it helps me reset myself rather than deflect. It helps me deflect. Also, it helps me reset and not uh interact or react.
Mm-hmm.
And because what I'll find myself doing is I may because I'll hear something or I'll see something or and before I would continue it on
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yeah.
And so so that could be pretty time
Yeah.
consuming to have your energy tied up in some things that you had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're just really concerned, or you're thinking about, like, what could I do or what could have happened, and so saying that, I had to stop my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to stop my thoughts were to reset them into what I feel, or what and to do some self-talk, and just it's affirmations, because I'll start off in the morning with the same thing. Let me, line up with what you created me to be and who you created me to be.
I
And
love that.
there, yeah, and I am in control of the controller. I have choices.
As we wrap up today's episode, I want to remind you that you have the power to create a bright and successful future for your highly sensitive child. Embrace their uniqueness, nurture their strengths, and provide them with the love and support they need. Together, we can pave a path to success that aligns with their sensitivity. Thank you for joining us today, and remember, you're not alone on this journey. We'll be here with more insights and inspiration in our next episode. Until then, keep believing in your child's potential because they truly are extraordinary. Stay tuned, stay inspired, and stay committed to setting your child up for success in life. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, please leave a review, share with other parents, and reach out to us with any topics you'd like us to cover in the future. To book a private coaching session with me, please visit my website at parentinghsc.com.